You know, right now on the incredibly busy streets of India, there's a revolution happening. And it's all electric. We're talking about a massive, massive shift in the world's biggest two-wheeler market. And honestly, it's unfolding so fast, it's almost hard to wrap your head around. Okay, it all boils down to this one number, 135%. I mean, just let that sink in. That's the year-over-year sales growth for electric scooters in India. This isn't some slow, gradual change. Nope. This is a flat-out explosion, and it's completely changing what the roads in India look like.
So, the big question is, how? How did this happen? What was the spark that lit this massive fire? Let's dive in and break down exactly what got a whole nation shifting gears, literally, to a new way of getting around.
So, that 135% growth we just talked about, well, in real numbers, it looks like this. Over 850,000 brand new e-scooters on the road in 2023 alone. I mean, to put that into perspective, this isn't just growth. The entire market was basically flipped on its head in just 12 months. Now, a boom like this doesn't just happen out of nowhere, right? It was really a perfect storm of factors. You had the central government jumping in with some pretty big subsidies. Then, on top of that, individual states started offering their own tax waivers. And when you put all that together, it started to close that pretty scary price gap between electric and the good old gas-powered scooters. But, you know, it's never that simple, is it? Just like with any huge change, there are definitely some bumps in the road. And in this case, we're talking about some major roadblocks that could seriously slow down or even stop this incredible momentum. And this really gets to the heart of the problem, the big EV dilemma. On one side, you've got this amazing promise, right? A cleaner planet and scooters that are way cheaper to run every day. But then you have the reality for the person actually thinking about buying one. They're asking the tough questions. Okay, where am I supposed to charge this thing? And the big one, how in the world can I afford that price tag? Yeah, let's put a real number on that cost issue. Because even after all those government subsidies we mentioned, an e-scooter still costs about 1.2 times more than a regular gas-powered one. That's a 20% premium. And for a lot of families, that initial hit to the wallet is it's the biggest hurdle, period. So all of this leads to a really dramatic question, doesn't it? When you look at these huge challenges, the cost, the lack of charging spots, you have to wonder, is this whole amazing boom about to just fizzle out? Is it over before it even really got started? Well, not so fast. Because what's happening next is, for me, the most exciting part of this whole story. Instead of just sitting around and waiting for someone else to solve these problems, Indian companies are rolling up their sleeves and creating their own homegrown solutions. Okay, so one of their biggest weapons is something called vertical integration. Now, that might sound like a boring business term, but trust me, its impact is huge. All it really means is that instead of importing all your expensive parts from other countries, you just decide, you know what, we're going to make them ourselves. It's a game changer, because it gives you total control over your costs, the quality, and your supply chain. Just look at a company like Ola Electric. They've gone all in on this. They are now making 70% of their parts in-house. And that includes the big one, the most expensive and most crucial part of the whole scooter, the battery cells. So think about it. They're not just putting scooters together anymore. They're literally building the entire ecosystem from scratch. And then you've got a completely different approach from Ather Energy. They're tackling that classic hardware problem, range anxiety, that fear you're going to run out of juice, with software. Their scooters get these over-the-air updates, just like your smartphone does, that make them smarter over time. They're constantly tweaking the performance to squeeze every last possible kilometer out of a single charge. It's brilliant. And the innovation doesn't stop with the tech. It's in the business model, too. Companies are getting super creative to get around that big upfront cost problem. You have TVS Motor, for instance, which lets you actually rent the battery. That slashes the initial price. Then you have Ola Electric, again, offering these really affordable payment plans aimed right at people who've never bought a vehicle before.
Okay, so let's say all this innovation works. What's the end game here? What's the big prize? Well, that brings us to our final massive question. And it's a question that's worth, about 10 trillion rupees.
All right, just take a second and let this number really sink in. By 2030, projections show that India could be selling over 22 million electric two-wheelers every single year. We're talking about a jump from 850,000 today to 22 million in just a handful of years. The scale of that is it's mind-boggling.
And what does selling 22 million scooters a year actually translate to? It creates a market that's estimated to be worth 10 trillion rupees. This is so much bigger than just changing how people commute. This is about creating one of the single biggest economic opportunities of the next decade.
But look, getting there is not going to be a walk in the park. The whole future of this market is really hanging in the balance. It's like walking a tightrope between pushing for new innovations, keeping things affordable for everyone, and of course being able to actually make enough scooters to meet this insane demand.
So that really leaves us with one final thought. We've seen the explosive growth, we've seen the really tough challenges, and we've seen some absolutely brilliant homegrown solutions. But the biggest question is still out there. Will this incredible burst of local innovation be enough? Is it enough to get over all the hurdles and really truly power India's electric future? The rest of the world is definitely watching to see what happens next.